Do. Merry Christmas. Did you make your Yuletide gay? I was headed to work recently, and I had a thought that connected to another thought that connected to today on Christmas, another thought. The first thought, and they all fell under the umbrella of Bitcoin. So the first thought was umbrellas. The second was card games. And the third was wool gear, wool clothing, wool stuff like this shirt, jacket, whatever you want to call it that I'm wearing right now. Weatherwool calls it a shirt, a CPO shirt. I wear it more like a jacket, and it's a outer piece the way that I wear it. But you can wear it however the hell you want. What do these things all have to do with each other? Well, come along with me as I take you on an auditory journey through imagination and economics. Umbrellas. They're a thing. I live in an area where it rains often. It's raining right now. You can look it up. If you want to see what the weather was in the greater Seattle region on Christmas, you're going to see rain. Right down here it says 44 degrees light rain, and that seems accurate. I was in the market for an umbrella. Most people do not use umbrellas in Seattle. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it rains so often that you would rather have something that you can just wear as a matter of course as opposed to this specific item. Well, sometimes I don't want the water getting that close to me. And so I was thinking, well, let's look for an umbrella, my wife and I. And as has been the case time and time and time and time, and will be the case time and time and time again, I could keep on saying and time, but you get the point. I knew before I even set foot on the first step of the path of searching for an umbrella that I was about to head down a rabbit hole. And this is true of everything that I have ever looked into to any degree. There is always, truly, always more than I expected to find in anything. You look up the shape of cans and the size of cans, and you're going to be taken on a journey of why the cans were invented this way and how come they have this particular lip and the reason that they have this mouth size and why they're printed in this way with that font. It's endless, and it's amazing, and it's incredible. I'm stunned by it repeatedly. And I knew that I was going to encounter this to some degree with the umbrella, and I thought, oh boy, I don't want to go too far down the umbrella rabbit hole. I just want to find an umbrella that works. And even that took me down paths that I really didn't care to go down. Not for any reason other than time. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time. And eventually I found an umbrella just walking through Costco, and here was one for, I don't know, $12.99. I was like, there we go, fine. The umbrella journey can end. I was looking at Gust umbrellas and Devon Dauphin, New York, with a lifetime unlimited warranty, no matter what. Blah blah blah. They're all some tens of dollars, and some of them were a little over 100. But this one was $15, something like that after tax. I thought, there we go. That's good. I just want a functional umbrella. It doesn't need to be an heirloom piece that I'm passing down. I don't care. I even started my actual shopping journey after doing a little research at a Value Village, which is like a Goodwill. It's a thrift store, secondhand place. And I popped in there, asked if they had umbrellas. Well, if we do, it's going to be over there by for whatever reason, the towels and bedding. All right, go over and look. No, I don't see an umbrellas. Okay, so I'll buy one online. And then I thought, well, let's do a little research. Found one at Costco. There we go. It's done. That's the umbrella that I've been using for the last month now, and it works. On my way to work, I either saw somebody with an umbrella or that it was raining made me think of the umbrella. And I thought, it's interesting and amusing that there are as many umbrella brands as there are. And I certainly didn't even find all of them. And I'm not talking about a brand that happens to sell umbrellas on the side, like Columbia or North Face or something. Some entity that already makes waterproof stuff, and they thought, let's contact some Chinese manufacturer or wherever, and we'll get some sort of metal skeleton framework and a handle and slap our name on it, put our jacket material on there, and boom, we've got umbrellas. No. I mean dedicated umbrella brands. This is what they do. They have factories, or they have places that have factories. They have some amount of employees. They've got people on payroll. They've got an HR lady or man or what they have. It's an entire operation. And there is an umbrella industry. And there's multiple umbrella brands that are, as far as I can tell, doing just fine. This links me, we're going to skip the card games for a moment, all the way over to Weatherwool. There are multiple companies that are in the wool mercantile space, different brands that sell wool clothing. There are brands like Filson that most of their wool stuff, from what I've encountered, is a little bit more, it's more rugged. And I don't mean that in terms of it's going to last you longer. It might. I don't know. I don't think so. I think the lifespan of wool, depending on the weave, is going to be pretty significant in most cases. But the one wool piece that I have from Filson is a vest. It's their Western style vest. I don't know that they still make it quite the same way. I think so. It's got 4 pockets on the front. It looks like the kind of vest that a poker dealer would have in a saloon in Phoenix, Arizona at the turn of the previous century. It's got the collar, it's got the pointed collar. It's got the lapels folded over. It looks like he'd be wearing a white shirt underneath and a tight bowler hat with the little sleeve braces to keep his sleeves up, or whatever they're called, the sleeve bands. It's what it looks like. He goes over, grabs a bottle of whiskey, pours it for the people that he's dealing for. All right, who's up next? Okay, you're up. Big ante to you. And it feels like wool. It feels like your grandfather's wool. It's scratchy. It is not comfortable. I would not wear that without something underneath. This I wear against my skin all the time. I'm wearing a t-shirt under this, and it's this. My arms. It's completely comfortable. It's soft. I have a blanket that I got from Weatherwool. Very soft. That's directly against my skin, or my wife's skin, regularly. It's exceptionally comfortable. But there are plenty of businesses, brands that sell wool clothing. Interesting. Card Games has a massive list of dead, failed card games. Let me see if I can find it. List of failed card games. I think there was one on... I thought there was one. Wikipedia, list of collectible card games. Okay. Let's switch this over and I can show you. Okay. As you can see here, the side that you've got the name here. I don't know if we can see how many there are by this list, but you can see that the vast majority of these, let me zoom in a little bit, in print, no. No. Yes, this one, Alpha Clash, whatever the hell that is. It looks like it's new, altered, fairly new. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Most of them are no's. No. There's some yeses in here. But most of them, I was going to say Dune, that's not in print. That was an old one. Most of them are not in print, which is interesting to me. And it's interesting to me for one main reason. And that reason is that the cost of entry into the card game market is next to nothing. Seriously. If you have a pen or a pencil, any kind of writing instrument, and a brain with any amount of creativity and some paper, and you can get a pen for free. You can find one. You can go, somebody will give you a pen for nothing. You can get paper for free. You can go to a recycle bin. You can go somewhere. You can get free paper. And as long as you have ideas in your head, those two don't cost you anything other than time and experience, which you have to have gathered to have ideas. But you get my point here. It's not like, oh, I'm going to start a rocket company to rival SpaceX, and I'm going to do it with pen and paper and an idea and no other. That's it. Okay, well, you're not going to have much of a rocket company. No, I am. No, you're not. You're not. You're not going to compete for bids in Elon Musk's space of SpaceX with $0 invested. But you can make a card game with $0 invested. Zero any money invested. You can. You just start writing out your ideas on the cards. Oh, this one, we'll do it like Magic the Gathering. It has a cost to it. Or Pokemon. You got to do this, and you have to have 2 of these to play one of those. And if you want to play the big snake dragon, you've got to have 4 of this and 1 of that, and blah, whatever. Okay? And if you turn these upside down, and then they come back to your hand, and you've got some idea. And then you go to card shops around the area, different game stores. Any major and minor city has at least one. The greater Seattle area has dozens of them, literal dozens of these types of stores where they sell board games and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And pick the card game that isn't a no on that list, and maybe they have it. And this brings me around to the core of my point. The card games that those stores, those shops will have is 3, maybe 4 or 5, but it is not the complete yes list. It is not. The one card game that you can be pretty confident of finding in a store that sells card games is Magic the Gathering. After that, it's probably Pokemon. After that, maybe Flesh and Blood, maybe this new game Altered, maybe the Disney one Lorcana, maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! One Piece is fairly popular right now. You might run, depending on the card store. Maybe Digimon. I don't think so. I don't think that one's going anymore. Possibly, maybe one of the 12 different Dragon Ball Z games. Maybe you'd be hard pressed to find 10 different collectible card games in even the most robustly stocked, specifically catering to card games. That's interesting. That is really interesting to me. That there is so few card games currently at market. There's probably about as many umbrella brands and wool clothing brands as there are functioning card games right now. Card games that have an active community more than a handful of people. I play some card game and it's not in print anymore, but we come up with our own versions. And okay, I understand Netrunner is a game and there are probably some hundreds or thousands of people across the world that play it still. Okay, but I would be stretching the imagination to say it is a thriving, robust community in the way that Magic the Gathering is, where there are thousands of people playing this online, whether it's on Magic the Gathering Arena or Magic the Gathering Online or in any number of game stores around the country, around the world. There's an estimated something like 50 million Magic the Gathering players across the world. The market cap of Magic the Gathering, if you were to take all of the card collections at all of the stores and everybody's inventory, is literal billions of dollars. That's not an exaggeration. We're talking tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. And I'm going off of the current market share. Yeah. I understand if all of these things went to market and were trying to be sold, that the prices would crash. I get that. I understand that. But as things stand, if you were to value things as they are, no selling, no movement, the economy in the Magic the Gathering space just is put on hold for 2 minutes so somebody can do an inventory of that time and the space and a snapshot of it, it's billions of dollars. Seriously, it is. Pokemon is probably up there as well. It might even be more, maybe. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Magic the Gathering's got it beat by a country mile and then some. And then everything else just falls off a cliff after that. It's Magic the Gathering. I don't know where Pokemon is after that. I know there are some cards that are worth, they sell like that one that Jake Paul bought for some millions of, I don't know. It turned out to be fake or something. Whatever. They come about these one-of-one crazy things like that. That card that Post Malone, the singer, songwriter, rapper guy, well, was more of a country kind of guy now. But anyways, he bought the One Ring. It's a one-of-one printing, and he bought it for $1.5 million, $2 million, or something like that. But the reason that Post Malone paid that amount of money is because that card could demand that amount of money. But why could it demand such a high price? Why could the mass printing of that card, the One Ring, demand a price of nearly $100? Let's see. I know it just got banned in a few different formats, or at least one, a fairly popular one too. The One Ring. So I think it's probably taken a hit. It's still $80. It's still the lowest price one is still $50. 60 here. 60, 80 for this one. Nearly 300 for this version. This crazy psychedelic looking version. Why is that? You might say, well, it's because Magic the Gathering is the most popular game. Okay. I think that's right. I think that is correct. But I think you need to think about it or look at it from a slightly different lens. It is because, and this is just a kind of an elaboration on that answer, Magic the Gathering has the greatest market share of hearts and minds. And despite posts like, let me see if I can find one. Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, I think. Is it UUB or UBB? UUB. Universes Beyond. That ain't it. I dislike that I do that to fill time, that sound. It's like, I'm making sounds to show you that I'm doing stuff. Okay, just do stuff. Oh, well, anyhow, I've seen different Reddit posts where people are saying, Magic's not the Magic I grew up with. Is anything the thing that you grew up with? Ford isn't the company that you grew up with, if you grew up with Ford. Okay? Cereal isn't the same that it was when you were 5 years old, assuming you're at least 10. Like, things change. I understand people being upset about Magic the Gathering and it changing, and now it's got SpongeBob cards, or will soon, My Little Pony, Fortnite, and Arcane, the show, or League of Legends, whatever. The Walking Dead. It's got all these different things, universes beyond. It's not the Magic the Gathering universe, which is already able to go anywhere and kind of do anything. They've got steampunk. They've got fantasy. They've got dragons. They've got wizards. They've got kind of cowboys now. They've got animals. They got all kinds of things. If you can imagine it, it's damn near in. They got Transformers. They got dinosaurs. They've got monkeys. They got bats. If you can imagine it, it's probably in Magic or will be soon. They've got Final Fantasy soon. Assassin's Creed. It goes on and on and on. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool. Magic the Gathering is, as far as I view it now, a rule set. It is no longer stuck or adhering to the universe where it grew up with, that I grew up with, that I was aware of, the story, Dominaria being a plane, and Urza and his brother Mishra, and Ugin and Nika Bolas, and the Planeswalkers, and blah, 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 all this stuff that's going on. No, it's expanding. It's beyond that. If you don't like it, okay, don't participate with it. Like, there are movies made all the time that I hear about that I think, I don't want to see that. And you know what I do? I don't watch it. I don't say, filmmaking has changed so much. The movies that I grew up with aren't anything like the ones that they are now. What happened? There are whole YouTube channels where they do that, and they have 1 million+ subscribers, and that's all they do. And they have people that tune in and they want to get mad and they cry about it. Okay, if that's your hobby and that's what you want to do is complain about things, that's neat. I guess. I don't know. I don't really see the value in it, but have fun. It's one thing to be a critic or a skeptic, or not that those things go hand in hand, but maybe they do occasionally. And be constructive about it, and then do something on your own that is not like the thing that you were bashing. But if you're just bashing, I guess that takes some amount of creativity, but I don't really see the point. Who's it helping? Is it helping you? Is it a therapy session? All right, okay. The way this connects to Bitcoin is a couple of ways, but the first way is the cost of entry to get into the crypto space is very little, very little. And this is why you have so many of these different meme coins out there, these poop coin and this and fart coin and cactus coin and dog with hat coin and whatever. There's Bitcoin, and then there's Ethereum, which is the mother asshole from which all shitcoins flow, as Saifedean Amos pointed out. You can only come up with true digital scarcity one time. Once. The connection between Magic the Gathering and Bitcoin, there's a lot of parallels, but in this instance is that if some other crypto project comes along and has a really good idea, and it is truly groundbreaking, truly a good thing, Bitcoin, you can just copy it. It can be wrapped up into it. If a new card game comes out and they have some interesting mechanic in it, there's a really good chance that Magic the Gathering can just straight up roll it into its rule system, and now it's in Magic the Gathering. Now, if it's a fundamental difference, like Flesh and Blood is inherently from the ground up an entirely different kind of game. Yes, they are cards. Yes, you open packs and you collect them, and there is a secondhand market. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities, but in Magic the Gathering, you start with your hero, your warrior, your knight, your ninja, your whatever, your wizard. And then it's a one-on-one battle against the other person's knight, ninja, wizard, what have you. And you've got some equipment, you've got some different pieces of gear, but you could make a format that was very similar to that in Magic the Gathering. Hell, you've already got Commander where you're starting with a commander. It's not starting in play, but you can make some rule tweaks and go, okay, well, we've got a new, it's called Equipment Commander, and the commander starts out and you've got 5 pieces of equipment. You've got a helmet, you've got a sword or a shield, and or 2, you got 2 pieces of armaments, whether it's sword, shield, if you want to go full defensive mode, whatever. You can do that. You've got boots, there's 4, and then you've got some trinket, a necklace, a ring, whatever. You have 5 pieces. You could do that. You could do that. You just say the cumulative cost of all your equipment pieces can't be more than X number. Cool. There you go. You could totally do that. Very easily. And now you've got a similar version of, or you've got a Magic the Gathering format that is similar-ish to Flesh and Blood. And you can go even further by copying their resource system, by instead of putting lands down to play for things, you pitch cards, you throw them away, and that it goes to the cost of something. And then you could straight up make a format that basically copies Flesh and Blood quite easily. It would not be difficult whatsoever. The point to all of this is that the cost of entry to something strikes me as a good thing. And if you are first to market in a low cost to entry field, then there's a really good chance if you do it right, you win. You just win. Now you might say, well, Bitcoin wasn't truly the first cryptocurrency. Okay, true. But it was the first to do it that way and do it well and have all the correct pieces in place. Magic the Gathering also was not the first card-based RPG-ish adjacent light type game. There was something called like Hexmage or or Mage Hex, or I don't know, Battle Mage or something like that. And there may have been even other versions than that. And who knows how many different things were worked on in different people's basements. I bet you $5 that there's somebody out there that has a story of like, well, I knew Richard Garfield and he took that idea from me, or I had an idea, it was very similar, I just couldn't ever get it off the ground. Well, history's not going to remember that guy. Oh, okay, and so what? I had an idea for a book years ago about a kid that is more or less raised by ghosts. And then Neil Gaiman came out with a book called The Graveyard Book that was like The Jungle Book, but very similar in my idea. And I had the idea, well, I don't know if I had the idea before him, but I had my idea before his book came out. But who cares? I never wrote it. Nothing ever happened to it. I just distinctly remember seeing his book, because I was reading a lot of Neil Gaiman at the time, and going, oh my God, that's basically a very close idea to what I had, which I thought was amusing. I think there's like one or two main ghosts in his story where I had like a cast of characters. Nothing came of it, and I'm no Neil Gaiman, or I certainly wasn't then. I don't know how my writing is now comparatively to his, but I'm closer to him now, I would like to think, than I was then. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Who cares? I didn't write it. I didn't publish it. It was an idea, and that was that. The universe doesn't typically reward ideas that remain ideas. You got to do something with it. I find it quite interesting that the lower the cost to entry, the higher the success rate. But that makes sense. Because if it costs a lot to start a car company or a rocket ship company with the ultimate goal of taking your entire civilization planetary, that's not going to be cheap. And the amount of man hours and thought and just all of the resources poured into making sure that you know what you're doing before you even start the project is going to be vastly higher than, what if I made a game where it's like pinup girls against clowns, and you pick a side, and you like, I don't know, you're trying to be the coolest one, and like, yeah, so here's my idea, like, here's a clown deck of cards, and then here's the pinup girls, like, you know, the kind that you would see painted on the side of a World War II bomber or something, and we can do rock, paper, scissors or whatever, and you take one of them and I'll take the other, and I'll show you how it works. And yeah, I was really high yesterday and I came up with this, and I think it's pretty cool. Do you think that game's going to last? Maybe you'll find a market. I don't know. I don't think so. So basically what I think is that if I can get this onto Kickstarter and it gets popular enough, which is totally, there's a non-zero chance that this actually is more popular than Magic the Gathering very quick, because I know that people like clowns. I know there's a lot of people that don't like clowns, but some people like clowns. And I also know that there's a lot of people that like pinup girls. I know there's a lot of people that think that's maybe sexist or like, you know, womanizing, but there's plenty of people that do like that. And so I think that there's definitely the market to make this like a multi-billion-dollar thing. I really do. I really do. I'm thinking that if I can get it, you know, into some game stores, and I can go and talk to Jeff Bezos, and he can, you know, give me some backing. And as long as we just get it on Amazon, and then, you know, make some sort of deal where we include it with every order, and it's like, you know, just a mandatory thing with Prime, and you charge, basically what I'm thinking is that every Prime subscriber would have to pay an extra $5 per year, and they just get one of these two decks, and you could pay an extra $10 per year and you get both decks. But then it's just automatically, you have automatic customers, and it doesn't really matter if they play it at that point or not. Obviously, I'd like them to play it because, you know, I've spent all this time on it the last 6 hours. You know, I was thinking about this when I ate some Cheetos. But yeah, it's basically guaranteed to work if I can do all that. Yeah, pretty much. If you can get Jeff Bezos to increase the subscription cost for every single Prime subscriber and include your game with orders, then yep, I guess it's guaranteed success. that craziness aside, the chances that your card game does well is basically zero. You saw the list. It's basically zero. I don't have any sort of grand point to this. There's no huge takeaway. I just think it's really interesting. Maybe I'm dumb to be amused by such a simple thing, but I think it's really interesting. And maybe there is some greater takeaway here, and I just haven't figured out what it is yet. That the more time invested in something does not necessarily mean, or the higher the cost of entry into something does not necessarily mean that it will do well, but I almost think that it has a higher chance of doing well. Because I guess there is sort of a implied, there's an assumption that goes along with the increase of time and resources, energy, just the larger investment. You can view that monetarily, time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, etc. However you want to view that, it's all of that. The assumption that I'm making there, and this wouldn't always be the case, is that there is honest, integral, true, good hard work going into this project. And if that is the case, then the likelihood that you succeed in whatever your endeavor is decent. As opposed to a flash in the pan, hey, I had this idea of pinup girls and clown women trying to become the next princess of Junktown. Oh, okay, yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Cool. That sounds really cool, guy. I'm not interested in that at all. There was reportedly 7 years of development and research and playtesting that went into Flesh and Blood. And of any recent new game that is truly new, a brand new IP, that one is the only one that I know of that has stuck around. There's this new game, Altered. It won't last. Mark my words, it will not last. It's already probably on the way out. You have to really do something interesting and do it really, really well. And actually probably be pretty different than Magic to succeed. Lorcana is succeeding because it's Disney. And that would sell even if nobody played it. It helps that it's a competent game. It's not a great game, but it's not bad. It works. It's a game. And people play it. But because it's Disney, you've got an automatic, massive, rabid, in some cases mentally unstable fan base that is going to buy that no matter what. With the One Piece game. Huge, massive, arguably the most successful, if not the most successful anime/manga ever. Bar none. I say arguably because I don't know that it, maybe Dragon Ball Z is more popular, but I think One Piece has sold something like 100 million copies of the manga. It's obscene numbers. Crazy numbers. So if you base a game off of that, it doesn't have to be a great game. Again, I think it is a decent game from what I've heard from people. It's not amazing, but it's solid, it's competent, and that's all it had to do. There's a League of Legends related game coming out, a card game, like an actual physical card game. Huge IP. There are something like 10 to 30 million people every single day playing League of Legends, not to mention Team Fortress Tactics or whatever. I don't know, I've played it one time and I don't really understand the appeal there at all, but whatever. Or Valorant. There's different things that they have in their universe that are hugely popular. Arcane is one of the most popular shows on Netflix ever. So if you base your card game off of something like that, it's going to have a much higher chance to succeed. Flesh and Blood did not base itself off of anything. It was completely brand new. But they spent 7 years, James White and friends spent 7 years developing that thing. If you're trying to break into the crypto space and dethrone Bitcoin, it's not happening. It's not happening. You might exist alongside it. Maybe. Gold exists alongside Bitcoin. There are some other coins out there that they're there. They exist. But eat into Bitcoin's 2 trillion market cap in any meaningful way? Get the fuck out of here. Not happening. Not happening. But the cost to entry in the Bitcoin space is exceptionally low. If you can do any amount of coding or anything, or look up some videos on YouTube, you can probably make a meme coin. Food for thought. If there's more here and I'm missing something, maybe there's some real deep takeaway that I'm just completely looking over. I don't know. Anyhow, Merry Christmas.